Listen.
Hello and welcome to NVC, IGN's Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Casey DeFreitas, and today we will be talking about Animal Crossing, Smash, Fire Emblem, a whole lot more. Oh, and Goose Game.
Goose Game?
A ton of stuff. I'm here with Brian Altano.
Hi, how are you?
Per Schneider.
Good day, Casey.
And Zach Ryan.
What's up, Every Schneider?
Hey, guys. Thanks for showing up. So, first things first, I actually have announcements. So many announcements.
Good announcement.
Who wants to make the announcement?
You want to make the
I
announcement.
want to make the announcement.
Yeah.
Okay. NVC 500 is upon us. A lot of you have been asking us if we were doing anything special, and I am so happy to say, yes, we are going to do something special. We are doing a live show at the IGN office on March 20th, the day that Animal Crossing New Horizons comes out.
Oh, because you don't have anything else to do, right?
Nothing else to do. That is also the week of DDC. We have so much stuff. We're excited. There's going to be pizza. There's going to be the NVC panel with a very large question block, a special guest panel, and a whole bunch more.
All your favorites will be there. Luigi, Samus.
You can't promise those
Isabel.
people.
Captain Falcon will kick you.
I said favorites.
Very few things in the world could keep me from immediately going home and just building my house in Animal Crossing. But NVC 500 is one of them. So I'm honored to do the show with you guys and bring your Switches so we can trade fruits.
We're going to trade all of the fruits. Super excited. The link for the Eventbrite will be down below. This is exclusive just for NVC people for the day. So don't share this with people unless you want to lose your exclusivity, because the link is live, but we're not sharing it to anyone else but you for 24 hours. Tickets are limited, but they don't cost anything.
It's in our office, so it's not. We don't have unlimited seating. We're literally converting our kitchen to a studio for the day.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we'll give you a look at where we work and what we do and all of that.
What a fun time it'll be. A great time will be had by all.
Time.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I think there also might be cake. So if the pizza and the panel and the Animal Crossing and maybe playing Smash with us didn't sell you, hopefully the cake did.
And possibly Luigi.
And maybe
plenty
Luigi.
of goofs and guffaws
Maybe
to be had.
Waluigi. Who knows?
He's
but
not invited.
we also have another announcement. You can now buy NVC t-shirts on the IGN store. I know I spilled the beans before and it wasn't technically live. I'm very sorry. But hey, you can use the code NVC10 to get 10% off NVC short shirts on the IGN store.
What you did was actually a good thing, you guys, when you snitched on the store, because I think that got the ball rolling and forced Justin Davis to get it liver than, you put a little fire on it.
He was really mad. He was really mad that we talked
Who wants
about
to hear a little inside baseball story? Justin and I are good friends. And NVC goes live on Thursday, and I was at home on Thursday night, and I got a text message from him that was like, somebody found the IGN store and bought a bunch of shirts. And I realized in the moment, I was like, oh no, we mentioned it on NVC. And I had to be like, Justin, I'm sorry. I think we spilled the beans on this. And he was like, what? And had to shut it all down, put it all behind passwords and stuff. It was a big deal.
Still testing shipping and quality of the t-shirts and stuff, so he wasn't ready yet. But it was funny. And then the top search term in the store for the last couple of days afterwards was NVC, because we didn't have an NVC shirt in there yet.
Now we got a bunch of them. I ordered
we
a
do.
very cool one. Yeah, I'm very excited. It should be here in a couple days. Yeah.
We're adding, there's licensed shirts in there as well. So you've loved Star Wars, Marvel, Nintendo stuff is in there from our partners.
I got a really cool Breath of the Wild sweatshirt that's just like the Breath of the Wild logo on a black sweatshirt that I really like.
Yep.
But what I wasn't anticipating is how many people, when you're a grown man wearing a big Legend of Zelda t-shirt, look at you on the bus like this.
What? Really? No. Those are jerks, Zach.
They're probably hoping that you work for Nintendo, or you have an uncle who works for Nintendo, and
That's
they want
right.
to hear the scoops from you.
My
That's
Uncle
the
Rich
trick.
George.
Everybody has an uncle that works for Nintendo.
You rich Uncle George?
Yeah.
Jose's everyone's uncle.
That's right.
But look for those links down below. We will keep you guys updated. Thank you for making all of these things possible and for helping us convince the higher power that we need an NVC 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked for this. I think it's going to be a good
Thanks to you guys for leaking that store early.
No problem.
And then
the
you
power
have
out there.
you have a code for the t-shirts?
Yes, it is a NVC all lowercase 10. NVC numbers 10. It'll be in the description as well.
You get some percentage off your purchase.
10% off.
10%.
That's where the titular 10
10
comes
out of
from.
10.
Yep, MVC 10. And now is where we would be talking about Animal Crossing New Horizons if it was Thursday, but we're recording this on a Wednesday and it hasn't happened yet. But we will be recording an Animal Crossing's New Horizons section with Miranda Sanchez and Brian Altano.
That's right.
Tomorrow morning, which is now, which is
included
right
in the show.
Here. And we are back from the future from yesterday. I'm Casey DeFreitas. I'm here with Brian Altano.
I'm very confused on the timeline here.
Miranda Sanchez.
I've appeared. Hello.
And a special guest that I didn't mention before, Brendan Graber.
I'm sleepy.
I figured I would have all three of these people because they all love Animal Crossing.
Yay.
You got an Animal Crossing wikis person, hands-on Animal Crossing person.
I've played it.
Miranda. And then just an all-over loves Animal Crossing guy, Brian.
I almost dropped out of college because of Animal Crossing.
I understand. I mean, after this presentation, Tom Nook has basically convinced me to leave all of the important things behind and go to a deserted island and just live my life. I mean, you have a free rescue helicopter. You got actual real simulated seasons. You've got turnips. Like what else do you need?
Never go to a timeshare thing in real life, Casey. You'll never see you again.
Oh no, you're right.
I think real quick, like tonally, this is one of my favorite directs ever, just in the sort of like the vacation presentation of it all. Just
and the music.
Like, yeah, the music, the fun, punchy writing and everything like that. It just really felt like this is a travel show for the uninitiated who've never played Animal Crossing, and also for like hardcore fans who can pick apart all the details in the background. It was perfect for everybody.
Fun, extremely informational.
Yep.
I think the nice thing is that they did tread back and like covered a lot of topics they've mentioned before, like about seasons, about hemispheres. A lot of these things were kind of mentioned one-off in like Treehouse Live, where if you were really paying attention, you caught it, or if you read the reports after, like, oh, okay, that's a thing. But it was nice to see them pull all of this together to like really get us ready and excited for next month.
Yes.
So excited.
I think the biggest thing that this has that real life doesn't is I can have an actual real simulated home ownership.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever own a home, but
Yeah,
you know,
but I
apparently
can an Animal Crossing on the deserted island. Really, it just threw me into an existential crisis. I was telling them before, it's like maybe I should quit my job and leave everyone behind and just go live on an island by myself
and pay off your home with mileage
but
points.
there's no interest. It's fine. I can go with no credit, no money, and just be like, I want a house, and they will give it to me. I can get lost on the beach and be like, hello, helicopter, please come save me, and then I won't be in crippling debt. They'll just do it.
That would be a nice life if it were possible.
I know.
You also have to put up with animals that you may or may not like.
One of the things I that really stuck with me through this direct was that this game is beautiful. Like it's a really, really good looking game.
I think the museum looks better than most museums in real life.
The museum and the aquarium looked beautiful.
Did you guys see the dinosaur skeletons? Like there's like textures on them for the first time. I mean, this is a franchise that began basically as a port of an N64 DD game, and so on the GameCube, it was never the best looking. This is never one of the most beautiful looking games or series, but this is a really pretty game on Switch, and it's just brimming with details. I really like the way it feels like they finally like did new renders of all of these furniture pieces that I've been collecting for 20 years now. The customizable furniture stuff is super cool.
I'm so excited.
Right? Like importing textures onto like pillows and stuff like that. It's so smart.
Onto a coffee mug.
Have you ever been able to position the camera inside your house and take pictures before? Or is that new?
You just like it was like kind of like this, like slanting from side to side.
Yes
never
and
like
no.
full on.
Yeah.
Whenever they dragged into multiple selected items on a wall,
Right.
my heart melted.
Oh my God.
It's like I loved Happy Home Designer.
Yeah.
I played so much of it, and it's like anything that makes the design process easier is gonna sell me every time.
I remember when that game came out, we were all talking about how like it had a lot of good ideas, but it felt pretty slim in the grand scheme of things. But we would hope that they would bring all that stuff over to like an actual installment of the franchise, and they totally did that. The ability to sort of just like go aerial view and move furniture around without your character dragging them back and forth and tilting them,
And that
like,
really annoying like noise.
yeah. That's where this franchise should be heading. So it's perfect.
So I know I brought up the rescue service before, but in what situation will you actually need to use that service?
I'm not
I'm
sure.
assuming
So
They said you get lost, but
yeah, so I assume that if you end up getting yourself stuck somewhere, so now that we have terraforming, if you like accidentally get yourself broken somewhere or like you don't have the right tools, you might just need a little extra help getting lifted out of that spot.
because you can pole vault with
Yeah.
things, but I'm sure it breaks after a couple uses. So you might go like, oh shoot, I can't get back now. And some of those like those town layouts, like there's lots of rivers going down. So like early on, you're kind of quarantined in an area until you learn how to get to the parts of the island.
I'm
Right.
imagining terraforming dungeons that's specifically challenging to get through, and maybe I don't know. Is that silly? Is that a
I'm gonna
silly
build a
idea?
moat.
Like building an island that's just a hell.
An obstacle course. It's like
Like
can
a
you get
maze?
through this without being rescued? Because I don't think you can.
No, totally. This is so fascinating to me because it's like if playing this franchise for years, when this first came out, there were very specific things like you would reset your game to get the right town. And then like maybe if you're lucky and you put millions of bells into the system, you'd get a bridge. And the ability to now sort of not feel like you're locked into a landscape forever is so awesome to me.
Yeah, I am very excited about that prospect, especially because I think how they're framing all this is just really fitting. It's like, oh, you're going to a deserted island. Like
Right.
every other time you're going to a town that's been established, like a little bit, but it existed without you before. And this has existed without you in nature, but there's nothing there except for like the airport and resident services. And so you get to decide everything from the get-go. And I think that's just like a cool feeling to be so involved with that process.
Yeah.
It's a small thing, but it's still like a really nice thing to set the tone for it.
Especially
No, I
for
love it.
facilities. Like
Yeah.
you could never choose where the shops were. And then in New Leaf, they were always at the top in a really long row and they were
Right.
all squished together. So now you can actually choose your own like shopping centers or have them scattered out wherever you want them to and where it makes sense where you live or where your villagers live.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys about that, specifically you, Miranda, because you played it a bunch of the game.
A little bit.
Or a little
I
bit.
wish it was a bunch.
I want you to tell us about that.
A
too.
bunch
Yeah.
of Animal Crossing is like 500 hours. So the direct sort of implied that like when you walk into your island town for the first time, like all of those shops that we've been accustomed to for ages won't be there.
Correct.
So
They're
they'll-
not there.
So you basically have a Nook tent with like a catalog that you can order stuff from, which will then eventually grow out into his store, Nookington's department store, and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
But like the Able sisters, all of them, they won't be there for a while.
Yeah, the museum's not there. Nothing is there. It's literally just the airport and resident services. So the way you go about growing your town is kind of a little up in the air at the moment. Like they didn't really get into the details of like, oh, do you have to just keep shoving bells at Tom Nook and like you'll grow the town too? Or like what sort of achievement system is there to
Right.
like kind of help progress that? That wasn't really clear. I only got 30 minutes of hands-on time with it. So that is like nothing. In
Right.
Animal
So what
Crossing.
is the first thing you crafted?
I crafted a flimsy fishing rod.
Yeah.
So that was
Good choice.
I like beelined it too because like the first day you play is just a tutorial day, so it's not synced with your actual time. So if you start playing in the middle of the night and you're like, why is it like first thing in the day in this Animal Crossing game when I'm starting? It's because the first day is not synced. But then
Oh.
after that it becomes synced.
Oh,
makes
that's
sense.
smart.
So it just gives you that time to like settle in and like get the whole spiel about like being on a deserted island, and then after that it kind of opens up a little bit. But before that, before I could actually really explore though, it's like, well, I only have 30 minutes, I have to do all this tutorial stuff, and then I pretty much just went straight to crafting just to get a feel for that, to see
Sure.
it. Like we've seen it, but I wanted to see it for myself and see how fast it actually was. The animation's very intense. I like it. It's like really erratic. I'm like, whoa, man, you're going hard on this fishing rod.
Did you get any sort of idea how time traveling would work? I know not to immediately jump to cheating, but I've always considered that part of the gameplay, and I think that's also why they're bottlenecking the whole cloud save thing, because people will be sort of like time jumping crazies, just jumping all over the different time periods and timelines and stuff.
So this wasn't something until Pear was talking about in the office. Nintendo said specifically that they'll have free updates throughout the year for seasonal events. So they're like, oh, the first update's going to have Bunny Day and like kind of the Easter equivalent for April. But that means that those events probably aren't available until those updates happen. So you could maybe time travel. It's not really clear exactly what implications will have on the game. I'm assuming it's going to be kind of the same. More weeds, cockroaches,
Right.
Neighbors move away faster. But if you go far enough in the future, I would assume that maybe you don't have those events in.
So like Halloween won't happen until Halloween happens.
Yeah, until it's added to the game or something.
So you could jump forward, get a bunch of the Halloween treats and like special themed stuff, and then jump back.
Yes.
See, now I'm glad you started the show with like a Back to the Future reference, because this is where we're heading.
So that's a speculation, which could be kind of like a problem because people don't just use it to like skip ahead for like cool stuff, right? They also
Right.
skip ahead to get stuff for the museum and like
Yep.
finish out bug collections. It's like, I don't want to wait a whole year to get that one bug that I missed because I was on vacation with my family.
Yeah.
My mom said not to bring my 3DS, but that didn't
Yeah.
happen. But like,
Like, no, you don't have
that could happen.
You can bring your Switch. There's no excuses.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
kidding.
yeah. I mean, most
There are
sometimes
plenty
like,
of
they'll
it.
Yeah,
stay in the
Mom.
house with you. My mom was great.
Yeah.
Giving a situation for like this happened to one of my friends, and I was like, oh, you can just time travel. Like, oh, that's right.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, it's a thing you can do. But what we're hoping for is that there's a service through Nook Miles, which are the point system that you earn by completing certain tasks, to buy a ticket to a random deserted island. That's just random. So we're hoping that those islands will actually have different seasonal times. So that way maybe it's like, oh, you just went to a random one and it's, spring real time.
That makes sense.
It might be winter over there. Like you just found like a winter island. And
Right.
like hopefully that's kind of the solution for that, so they can kind of get around time travel stuff so that you can catch stuff off.
Because there is a distinction between the hemispheres. So it could be like, hey, here's a southern hemisphere island where you live in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, which is super exciting too. So that way your weather matches where you live.
That's
cool.
a really, really awesome solution.
Yeah, so that's what we're guessing. It's not like officially confirmed or anything, but that's what we're thinking could happen to discourage that.
And I know we could talk about Animal Crossing forever, but I did want to talk about specifically the Animal Crossing saves. So in a previous episode of NVC, we asked everyone if the save situation would prevent you from wanting to get Animal Crossing New Horizons. And some of you did respond to us and say, yes, this is going to prevent you from wanting to get it, because one of you, for example, said that upgrading to a system would now become difficult, or if you have two different Switches, or if you want to change to a different one. And it was confirmed during today's Nintendo Direct that you will only be able to basically save transfer your Animal Crossing save data one time. So how do you guys feel about that?
It's a bummer. I mean, I think about my 3DS Animal Crossing save file, and it went from, I don't even know how many 3DSs I own from start to finish throughout that generation. But that's a system that got constant refreshes. It got new designs and stuff like that. One year I'd be like, I'm on the Zelda one. The next year I'm like, I'm on the Animal Crossing one, and then 2DS XL or whatever. Like, you want that freedom, right? And that's also part of what we paid for with Nintendo Online was the cloud saves. And to not see that incorporated here is kind of worrisome.
It's also, this is a game that transcends time. People were playing Animal Crossing for years and years and years, and having only one backup, and for all that time, if this was like a single player game, you play through once, get to a 30-hour mark, you're done. Okay, I'm fine, moving on. That's one thing. But for a game that just, there is no end,
right,
and lures people in to spend time and cultivate these giant like islands and towns that they perfect, and say, oh, by the way, if something happens, whatever happens, outside of your fault or your fault, who knows, well, you only get one mulligan. That's disappointing.
Yeah.
I always feel a little pessimistic in saying this, but I never really trust Nintendo to have a good online solution at this point. Like, I don't know how they haven't figured this out by now. Like, their competitors obviously have, and we know that Nintendo kind of sits aside from that. Like, they play their own game, right?
Yeah.
But we still have standards for online play and cloud saves and all these things, and the fact that it doesn't have it is a little weird. I know the whole idea, it's like this is a real-time simulation thing, but even if it's just a backup, even if I can't like just pull it off to another system or something, or if that will like invalidate another one, that's fine. But just like figure out a way for us to have our save secure, because that's like kind of a scary thing.
Yeah, that's what you're buying into, right?
Yeah.
And I also kind of understand it wouldn't be fair to everyone else sharing your Switch if you transfer the save data and then now have removed their save data from them.
Right.
But there has to be a way to tell if other people on other profiles on the Switch are actually using the island or not.
This is also the third game, I think, that makes use of their online app. It was like Smash and Splatoon, and like that was it.
Voice
for
chat,
the longest
text.
time.
There's going to be a couple of things.
Yeah, I mean the QR code scanning is brilliant. I love that. I think that's a great way to sort of import stuff that people have been making in past versions of the game for ages. The idea of like snapping a texture with my phone and immediately implementing it into the game is really cool. But yeah, I'm not gonna sleep easy knowing that like if my Switch gets lost, it's gonna be a huge pain. I might lose my town forever.
Yeah, Nintendo said that they can pull it back from the server potentially. Yeah. Potentially, it's not a guarantee, which is like, okay, that's nice, but it is just a bummer to see that not be something that's been fixed at this point. It's 2020.
Yeah, and they're going to sell millions of copies of this game, and it's sort of just a sour note underneath this otherwise like very optimistic, very fun, very beautiful looking, exciting game that's coming out. And there's that sort of like caveat at the end where you're like,
oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to ask one question. We had a question block question from Kevin Osborne, and he says, a wizard asks you, if you could explain to me why I should play Animal Crossing, what would you say? I don't get it. I've never played one of these games before. I see everyone is excited for it to come out, but even with no other big Switch games coming out, I have no interest in playing this. Can you convince me to get the thing?
Sure.
I'm always, whenever I see these challenges, I'm like, but I will never convince you if you're not interested in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, do you like cute animals and maintaining a home and decorating and, I don't know, cleaning up a little island and having a essentially like Second Life kind of simulation?
Yeah.
And then you'll
Do you like having a chill lifestyle? No? Then there's
Yeah.
Doom.
I would say that like one of its most charming sort of things as a franchise is that it's incredibly cathartic.
Yeah.
It is just like a really relaxing, cathartic experience. Whereas like a lot of the video games I play are like intense third-person action games and, you know, story-driven open world games and stuff like that, shooters and stuff. Animal Crossing is completely laid back. It's completely chill. You never really feel like you're failing at it. You can just do small incremental tasks every single day and feel like you're chipping away at building a better lifestyle.
It's part of the reason why there is a debt, but there is no interest or a
Right.
time frame. It's like, hey, there's like 98,000 bells for your debt. Take your time. Pay off 100 every week or so. Who cares?
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
If you have no interest in expanding your house after the first one, or not even after that, you don't even have to do it ever.
Right.
You could
Just
just
have a tent.
do
That's it.
other things. You could just make friends with new animals and like plant a little garden, get some fish. It is like just such a chill game, and that's one thing that I really appreciate about it. And it can be a huge time sink, but it doesn't have to be either.
Right.
And so it's just like that flexibility of it being in your hands to kind of experience this other little world with animals that are super adorable and fun and sometimes weird, but that's good too. It's just such a unique experience that you don't find in a lot of other games.
You could spend a week building an orchard, or you could spend a couple hours fishing. And like, there's no wrong answers, right?
Or I can visit an island and get some peaches.
Yeah.
If I only
I
have
want to go to
apples.
that bamboo garden they had in that one island they showed
that was
off.
awesome.
That
Yeah.
was so cool.
Just explore.
He'll buy peaches.
Peaches. Like you did it in your demo, right?
Demo. I was like, can I take this?
That's
with
a good
me?
one.
Hopefully you can get it again. But hey, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this pickup to talk about Animal Crossing New Horizons. I super appreciate it. I hope we covered most of things everyone wants to know about Animal Crossing, but for even more information, check out our amazing Animal Crossing New Horizons wiki.
I'm going to add all the villagers I saw, including a new elephant, I think.
New elephant.
There's a
red
few,
elephant.
Exciting stuff. And a bunch of other things.
I don't like that clown sheep. I never
don't like-
did.
No.
If they arrive and be like, hi, there's a door.
Yeah.
I'm going to push you off
I'm
into
gonna
the
mail
sea with
him
a
tires
raft.
until he leaves.
Anyway, that's all we have to talk about Animal Crossing. And now let's go back to the past to continue with the rest of the NVC programming. And now we're back from the past. I hope you enjoyed the future us talking about Animal Crossing, because now we're back from past us.
I cannot believe all the things they added.
I know. I'm so excited. We got to hear about Miranda Sanchez's hands-on impressions.
Yes.
She's got a full preview up. Stoked.
I definitely asked a lot of stupid questions.
Yes.
It's crazy to me that this time around in Animal Crossing they've included cucumbers and also marijuana plants.
Oh my
Fun,
gosh.
too.
Yeah, all those.
So obviously
Now we
we
can
don't
tell
know yet
everyone to
what's
get
in it.
off our lawn with
Yes.
real gusto.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm excited.
Yeah. Super excited.
Speaking of gusto,
Yeah, it's Untitled Goose Game, won Game of the Year at DICE.
Isn't it Gus?
That was
it is, but
It
she
is.
said gusto.
I said gusto. It was my it was my subconscious saying like please do the transition, and it was complete-
work.
no,
So good.
Nice work.
our producer Borba is just like
Borba's
shaking his head so hard at us.
It shows
Creating
off
like
the
a
rails.
wind draft in here.
So surprise.
Untitled Goose Game won Outstanding Achievement for Independent Game and Outstanding Achievement in Character and Game of the Year at DICE.
Yeah.
So for the listeners that don't know what DICE is, because it's a pretty inside baseball sort of deal, can you tell us a little bit? I looked at you because you're the elder statesman here, but
you probably don't know what DICE is.
I feel like I do know what DICE is, but I also feel like I could get it wrong. I feel like you probably know the best of us what DICE is.
Well, it's a association of developers, and DICE is the event, the annual event where everybody gets together, celebrates the industry. Their keynotes from company leaders, overseen by the AIAS, and as part of that, there's this award show. We live stream it on IGN every year because we're obviously very supportive of the cause. And like the picks are always slightly different, right? They're not voted on by gamers. They kind of represent that creative spirit within the development community, which is why Goose Game makes sense as an award.
I've always kind of thought of DICE as like the Screen Actors Guild Awards for
that's
video
exactly
games, where it's like developers voting on the games that they want to see championed and want to see like propped up. And in this case, Goose Game was a surprise winner this year. I feel like I saw a lot of people tweeting and being really impressed with the idea that this tiny game from a very tiny development team would win D.I.C.E's Game of the Year.
There are a lot of people who are mad too, right?
That's okay.
A lot
What?
Of,
Shocking.
there are a lot of people who say, well, come a 3-hour game wins over, an 80-hour experience like Death Stranding. And like Death Stranding also had a lot of really creative and clever ideas, right? So I think it boils down to the fact that Goose Game was so different and so creative and really stood out as a unique experience, and that it was made by such a tiny team, I think, is why it was worthy for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool
Also
cool deal for
note-
them.
You like the game, right?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah, no, I love that there is the contest between something that's 80 hours long and something that's 3 hours long. Like there's Pixar shorts that have stuck with me longer than some entire DreamWorks feature films, right? And so
Wow, shade thrown at DreamWorks.
specifically Shrek.
Yeah.
I'm coming for
Back
you,
with
Shrek.
Shrek again.
No, I think it's awesome. The developers tweeted out a list of basically every D.I.C.E Award winner ever, and just to see Goose Game at the bottom of it next to like all the other like AAA shooters and stuff like that, like gigantic open world games, and it's just like Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
Like it's really, really cool to see.
Yep.
I also wanted to mention that Babas, you won Outstanding Achievement in Game Design. Mario Kart Tour won Racing Game of the Year. Which, I don't know how. I think that's the most like what.
So a second ago, I was about to say I don't really see why anyone would be angry at Goose Game winning over their stuff. Mario Kart winning over other actual like real legit racing games was kind of like what?
Yeah.
Like I understand it from the perspective of sort of like the simplicity of the touchscreen controls and the solution that provides. Kart racing has been attempted on mobile for a long time, and I think Nintendo is the closest to like really get it pretty damn good. But that game otherwise was, I would say, like mostly forgettable. I think I don't know anyone who's stuck with it outside of like a rare few people.
What's the thing that got everybody into Mario Kart? Multiplayer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What does Tour not do?
Right.
It
It
I
has
think it's
simulated multiplayer.
It is, exactly. It's a slow year for racers for sure. We didn't get like a Forza Horizon, like a game that is a little bit more accessible. And so with mostly sim racers on the market, there were good sim racers out. It makes sense that a different experience.
It's crazy
won.
that this particular kart racing game would win too when Crash Team Racing is also nominated, which is like a phenomenal kart racer.
Maybe that's considered a re-release. I don't know. But like Baba
solid.
Is You winning is really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Half of the stuff in the Mario Kart game is a re-release.
Yeah.
You know?
It wasn't, but Crash Team Racing was a nominee. But I also that's a thing that happened. It's fine. But I also wanted to mention, hey, Luigi's Mansion 3 got an outstanding achievement in animation. Mario Maker 2 got Family Game of the Year, and Fire Emblem 3 Houses won the strategy and sim category.
That's awesome. Luigi's Mansion, I think about the animations in that game a lot because I feel like even 12 hours into that game, you're still seeing different and new animations from Luigi, from the ghosts. Like I think it's spectacular in terms of the graphical prowess and the animation.
I honestly, like playing it, I could not imagine that a non EAD, Nintendo core team had made it. There's so much attention to detail. It's so beautiful in parts, and the reactions from the ghosts to the various situations are just so clever and always unexpected. Just the way the cat sneaks up to you, and like the way it like jumps through the walls and stuff, and it's so cool.
There's a lot of really wonderful little details there. And Nintendo had like a pretty awesome year award-wise, considering they didn't really have like their A team out there. They let a lot of stuff like Ring Fit and Luigi's Mansion, and even like Link's Awakening, which is a port of an old Game Boy game, do all the talking. And I think it worked out.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to go into some quick news before we talk about games out this week. And first up is a little scoop that Tom Marks got while he was seeing Persona 5 Royale. He asked the Atlas Communications manager, Ari Advincula.
Close.
Close. Yeah. Close enough? Okay. But anyway, he asked him a specific question about Persona 5 for the Switch, and they answered, you want what you want, and if you don't let us know it, we're never going to be able to make it. And basically, they said it's always important to voice your opinion and don't give up hope.
Yeah, I saw some other, I feel like when you have these preview events and when we do red carpet stuff, like there are questions that every media outlet goes into those events in their back pocket, right? Like people want to know the answers to a few definite things, and I feel like this was asked by a lot of different outlets, like, will Persona 5 ever come to Switch? And one of the responses that I saw from, I forget, somebody at Atlas was like, if you keep asking for it, maybe someday it will happen. And it was like, when have we never not been asking?
Yeah, right.
like since Persona 5 was coming to the West in 2017, it was like, put it on Switch. Put it on Switch. Like every time anything is mentioned about Persona 5 Scramble, it's like, put it on
Joker
Switch.
and Smash.
Well,
or
or on Xbox and PC, right?
What's that?
Or on Xbox.
No,
and PC,
only on
right?
Switch. This is a Nintendo show.
No, like because this is Persona being a PlayStation exclusive. That's been an established fact for a while. With spin-off titles obviously making their way to our systems here, and I've always wondered what was going on. Whether it's just it's a marketing co-op or a subsidy or anything. And like Atlas has never been that vocal about why that is and whether this is timed and. To me, an answer like that sounds like, I don't know, but I don't want to disappoint you. So I'm going to say, hey, if you keep asking for it, maybe it'll come someday.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you're talking about one of the most beloved and well-regarded Japanese RPGs of all time. And I think
it can run on Switch.
It could run on Switch. It was developed for the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
And I think that Atlas and Sony, well, Sony specifically, learning to play nice in the same way that Microsoft has, like, you're looking at a potential blockbuster, right? Like Persona 5 already sold really well on the PlayStation 4. I think a Switch port would do the exact same numbers, if not better. And people are yelling about it every time there's any sort of Persona anything. And it's baffling to me that this is all speculation, but it's crazy to me that Sony isn't willing to play ball and just rake that money in from that game.
It's also especially odd because Persona 5 Scramble is a sequel.
Switch,
It is coming to Switch, and it is the sequel. Like if you watch the trailer, it starts out as Persona 5 2, and it kind of like flips it into a
5.
Yeah, look, and Jokers and Smash and all that. So.
But it's also not a precedent that we haven't seen before because there's been dozens
Flips
of,
into
well,
an
not
S,
dozens,
but
but there's been tons of Persona spin-offs, like especially the Persona Q dungeon, Persona Q.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
The Persona Q series.
Yeah.
That was a 3DS series based on a PlayStation franchise, essentially.
Look at Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Same. But that's to play that game, that story, air quotes, from start to finish. You have to own like 7 different platforms, right? Like,
It's pretty silly.
I feel like it's.
I don't know.
Happen.
Anyway, don't give up hope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Keep asking
Don't give
for
up
it.
hope.
Yeah.
that means like to me that sounds like it's probably in development and they don't want to confirm it.
Or it could be. I have no idea
so?
if Japan will ever do it. So keep asking
That's
for it.
more so what it sounds like to me is like, it sounds like Atlas US is like, we don't know.
It would definitely, that is a giant, long game. It'd be nice to be able to take that on an
I
airplane.
know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hey, Nintendo has revealed another Switch Lite color, this time in coral. Launches in Japan on March 20th, which is the same day as Animal Crossing. So even though we're not getting an Animal Crossing Switch Lite, Japan's getting the coral one. And we are getting it in the US on April 3rd.
So this kind of gels with the comments that we've heard from their earnings call that the Switch Lite is selling well to female players, and they're introducing more colors that, not to stereotype the pink system, but are more appealing to female players, maybe. I mean, it seems like they're really doubling down on that market. I think that's really cool. I think that's really smart.
When I saw the coral system, because Nintendo America tweeted it out, the single image and then an image with like all of the colors together. The pink one was the first one that I've seen in a Switch Lite that I was like, that's good. That I like that a lot.
Right.
Like I want to get that. Like I think it's gorgeous. Yeah, I think it's a really cool color.
And I know some people were lamenting about it in our podcast forums about how they would have bought the coral one if that was available before, and how some of their younger children are a little bit disappointed about having the teal one instead of the coral one.
That's how they get you. I'm not buying it.
How many did you get?
I'm buying it.
Damn
I'm
it.
not buying all the systems. I can't keep buying systems.
You can't detach the Joy-Con, so it's not worth it.
You can let me get this straight. You can own 300 Joy-Con, but you don't want to buy all the systems.
I was posting a picture of every unique Joy-Con I have on Instagram right now.
Yeah.
That was a great
I think
thread.
I'm up to 16 now, which means
How many do you have?
So many.
Well, no, I have every color available, every version available except for the Labo cardboard one, which was given away to 10 people as a prize,
Right.
and the black dev kit only ones. So nobody's wanted to part with a dev kit.
I feel like
Those are-
you could get one set of those. I think you might. I don't think you'll ever get the cardboard ones.
Too expensive. Like, I'm not going to pay like crazy money for a Joy-Con.
Are
You just
trying
have to
get a
make
complete
friends.
collection or not?
Not. I'm going to create the artificial barrier that has to be retail available.
Pear, look,
Okay,
you
fair
just
enough,
you just
fair
have to make friends with someone who has them and then become
Well-
a phantom thief. It'll be fine.
It's like Amiibo. You can't get the Monster Hunter ones unless you're going to pay thousands of dollars. People are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a Nintendo PlayStation.
I was just gonna say, but I did hear that you were in the running to buy the Nintendo PlayStation.
No, I would have bought
prototype.
it for the office for up to $5,000. The Nintendo PlayStation.
Up to $5,000.
And then it went over that in like 6 minutes or
Yeah.
something.
Speaking
I
of
was like,
to
well,
$5,000.
there goes ours.
Yeah.
So, Pear, speaking of office purchases,
Yeah.
have you heard about the life-size Mareep that the Pokemon Center has put out?
No.
Because it is a life-size sheep,
Is that
like
that-
this big.
That's not the edible one.
It's
is it?
no, it's the electric sheep. It's
Oh, I see.
$500 and we need it. I'm just putting that out there into the ether. We can move on now.
How big is it?
Well,
It's life-size sheep.
I'm into it because we have 2 Dark Souls, we have a Geralt and a Ghoul, we have Lara Croft, we have
Lara Crofts.
2 Lara Crofts,
Life-size
we
sheep.
have
Solid
no
Snake.
Nintendo
no
statues.
Nintendo
You're
statues.
right.
It's
Yeah.
40 inches long and 2 feet tall.
That's too big for a sheep.
It's a life-size sheep.
I don't know. We have to sell a lot of T-shirts to be able to.
I also think that if we're going to get a Nintendo statue, we should get Marip the sheep, one of the most recognizable Nintendo characters of all time.
Marip.
Thank you,
People
thank
from
you.
all over the land can come and see our love for Nintendo by seeing a life-size electric.
Yeah, they come in. They're like, I too love Wallace and
It's-
Gromit.
Yeah, star of such
Yeah.
games as the Pokemon, one of the colors, or a
Look,
sheep.
guys, it's a stuffed animal, and you can pat it. Okay, it'll make you happy.
Not buying it.
One of the
This keeps getting worse. Proposition just keeps getting worse.
well, one of the reviews said, if you never thought money could buy you happiness, then you haven't had the Mareep because it is a good friend and a good sheep. Anyway, Cooking Mama Cookstar comes out
When's
in
your
March,
birthday, Casey?
October.
Okay.
Cooking Mama Cookstar comes out in March. It's coming with a on the Switch with a vegetarian mode, which is new to the series.
Tom Mark's very excited about both revelations there.
Yeah.
I saw a rainbow grilled cheese as one of the
I
options.
fell out of that series when Mama started gardening and doing all sorts of other stuff. I always liked Cooking Mama.
I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
I think it's like
Not better than Mama.
you. I don't think you can learn about cooking.
No.
from Cooking
No,
Mama.
you certainly not.
You can
But
learn
it-
about stirring stuff.
Yeah, yeah. There is like very basic stuff. It's like, okay, well, that's what burned onions look like.
But I think it's cool that you could potentially use the Joy-Con accelerometer for like
Yeah,
chopping or like sauteing.
well, they have
or,
they
yeah.
have that mini game
Yeah,
in
in
Super
Mario Party where
Yeah,
you
Mario
can
Party.
flip the meat
The
cubes.
meat cubes.
Yeah.
With the oddly like photorealistic steak cubes.
yeah. yeah.
It's
Just
the
like,
weirdest mini
Why?
game.
I love
why
it.
are the
the
graphics in
best
that
ones.
one mini game so good?
Somebody was so hungry when they made that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want lunch. The Witcher 3 on the Switch also got a 3.6 update, and it improves its graphics just a little bit. So
Oh, who's got that?
check it out.
Tina.
See, I never bought that on the Switch because I love the Xbox version and played the crap out of it.
I have it on Switch, and I read I read a tweet saying like a giant update is coming to this game like a month ago, and then I basically just like sidelined it because I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll wait for the better version of it. And then apparently they deleted all information about that tweet, so I thought it was just a bust. And I was like, oh, I'll just play it on Xbox. And then they just kind of
Now it's here.
dropped it now. So
There's
I'll
also
give it a
there's
look.
also some news about it cross-platform saves with Steam.
yeah.
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
debunked by CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
Bummer.
I think they just put in the update in one of the articles. Like CD Projekt Red has said there are no plans for.
Oh, that's
cross-save.
too
Was
bad.
it Divinity that did that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's like such a cool thing to do.
I know.
I agree. Yeah.
Sweet.
Next up is, so we talked about Platinum's last major announcement, which was the Wonderful 101 remake or remaster for the Switch. And their next major announcement will be made public on February 27th in Famitsu Magazine. No idea what it is. We just know when the announcement's going to come.
I bet it's Bayonetta 3. Or I hope that it's
They
Bayonetta
already
3.
commented on Bayonetta 3 and said it's going well. So
Yeah.
would that count as a major announcement?
No, I don't think so, because like look at what they did for the Wonderful 101. It was like such a kind of
Out of left field. Just
well, not just that, but there's more fanfare around it. It was a bigger deal. Yeah, I think if they were going to say something about Bayonetta, it would be something more robust. Yeah, than just like a one-off. Like, yeah, we're still working on it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
We'll
curious what's happening with that franchise. Like, I have this weird feeling that, Bayonetta coming into the Nintendo fold was kind of an odd move, right? Just as a kind of mismatch for Nintendo's image and everything. It's a weird character to fit into their portfolio. And obviously, Nintendo didn't buy Platinum, right? They're owned, basically working very closely with a Chinese conglomerate now. So I'm wondering if Bayo 3 is not going to be an everything release eventually.
That makes sense because, like you said, I think Bayonetta 2 was only on Wii U for a while, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's probably the case.
So,
also, it could potentially be they just put out Bayonetta and Vanquish, a 2-pack for the 10th anniversary. Right. They remastered those games for PlayStation and Xbox, and Vanquish would be an awesome game on the Switch if they could port it. That would be a cool announcement for the 27th as well.
We'll see.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Famitsu, Sakurai's Famitsu column has leaked, and he said after the 6 fighters for Fighters Pass 2, there are no plans for more DLC for Smash. Yeah. Which comes as surprising to me because I assumed that they would keep up the DLC passes.
He's very, very tired, and he said the same thing basically after the first.
You're right.
Right. So, I feel like that. We'll see what happens when we get to the end of the run, and Nintendo basically says Smash will be around for a long time, will be played for a long time. We need to keep it alive with new updates, and we'll see what happens. Right.
If you consider the spread of the first Fighters pack, because we got our first character in early 2019 with Piranha Plant, and the last character in January with Byleth, if there's an additional 6 fighters coming out, this could carry us all the way into 2021. And at that point, the game has been out for almost 3 years.
Yep. You're right.
It's like,
will we need another DLC pack?
Will we be ready for the next version of the Switch? I think I would like to imagine that Smash Ultimate is now a platform in the way that they will just continually update the same game, but financially and historically that doesn't fit Nintendo's business model.
But if that's the closest thing Nintendo has to an esports contender, right, a game that people play at events, and obviously Smash is featured at Evo. And events like that, it's not one of the big 4 esports games. They want to keep it alive, right? And like, if there's anything to be learned from the Fortnite and Overwatch strategy in order to refresh the games and kind of spark interest, you kind of need to have a drop, right? Rainbow Six is doing it too. So
I can't picture. My brain can't even wrap its head around like this game getting a sequel. Can you imagine that?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. They don't do that. Not on the same console.
No, I mean like
what are you doing?
next gen.
Perry just
I have one more
sunk down below. Yes.
Are you guys done?
Yeah, sorry.
Tom Clancy's Zach Ryan dropped my chair down, and Borba quickly cut away.
You can't call him that. He doesn't work at Ubisoft anymore.
Allegedly.
Nintendo Japan announced today a 4-disc Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening soundtrack collection, which is...
Damn, what a roller coaster that was.
Yeah, I know. Which is all of the new music and all of the original music. It's on CD, which is weird. So, like, I literally don't own a CD player anymore.
Does it come with a
are still a big thing in Japan, though.
No. And so I did some digging into this. It's $50. It's on Amazon Japan and on Play Asia, and it comes with like a little book and everything. The artwork's awesome. Nintendo has yet to foray into digital music.
I think
they don't sell their songs on iTunes.
Right.
They don't put their music on Spotify. This feels insane.
So the funny thing, I'm pretty sure you can play those CDs on a PS4.
Yeah.
So I do have a CD player. It's my
Yeah.
PlayStation 4.
Yeah, because I don't.
I'm sure we can lend you a CD player.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying, it's like this feels like easy money for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like
Probably has 2 or 3 disc vans laying around.
Look, they didn't do movies and amusement parks for a while, and even T-shirts. They were not very active with that stuff.
No.
I feel like music is next.
No, I imagine how much money they would make just by throwing up everything on Spotify.
Yeah, that's what I'm
like
saying.
Capcom recently did it, and
Well, you'd be surprised. you don't make a ton of money
Yeah,
with
no.
streams on Spotify.
Right.
Like your music has to stream so. I mean, you know this. Your music has to stream so much before you even see a dime on Spotify.
I guess
because it's like a fraction of a cent for every play.
Yeah, I guess I'm just assuming that Nintendo music is popular. But
Yeah, I mean, last year, Capcom just out of the blue one day released every one of their soundtracks on Spotify, and it'd be interesting to know if
How
they've
it's doing.
seen any money on
I
it.
think the issue with the way they did that is that some of it isn't translated. So I know like some of the Monster Hunter soundtracks are all in Japanese characters, so I can't search for them, and I have no idea what any of them are.
The Final Fantasy soundtracks, I think, are the same way. Or
Yeah.
maybe I'm thinking of the Capcom soundtracks.
Yeah,
still,
SIE put a bunch of stuff on there too, like Bloodborne soundtracks on there, and I was just like running like errands, pushing my kid in a stroller around, and like put that on. And I was like,
it's terrible.
It's like a beautiful day out, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm in a boss fight. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Funny.
No.
I hope that there's. Long story short, I hope there's more Smash DLC.
Yeah, more Smash DLC. Maybe the Smash discography. I remember getting the Smash
Oh my
Melee like CD from like my Nintendo. No, it came with a strategy guide. It was awesome. I listened to it all the time.
Nintendo or my Nintendo bonus thing a couple years ago too that had like a sound selection of Smash Brothers songs.
The Smash Ultimate discography would be
It's
like
insane.
24 discs.
Yeah.
Like, it's so nuts how many tracks are in there.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Isn't that
Every
like
song is
50
there.
hours of music
Yeah.
or something?
Yeah, it's something crazy.
Pretty.
Like that.
That'd be a pretty good package to release on iTunes.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
No?
Do you remember
Yeah.
when
You can listen to them digitally through the Switch.
Yeah.
Remember?
That's what I was gonna say. Do you remember when they announced during the Direct that there would be a built-in like player that you could listen to the Smash
sleep
soundtrack?
mode.
Even in sleep mode.
Who's doing that? If you're out there
don't-
listening to the Smash soundtrack like a
curious.
giant MP3 player, let us know.
With a big switch in your little merce.
I think that everything about that game is designed to be inclusive for everyone, even people who are just like, I only like playing with mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like, you have the option.
Yeah.
You know? You're wrong, but you have the option.
Now, games out this week. First up is Warface. It's out on the 18th. It's a free-to-play first-person shooter.
Yep.
Have any of you guys checked it out?
No, this is a mobile game from 2000, I think like 12 that's been ported over to the Switch. Yeah, it's a online competitive shooter situation.
Check it out.
I mean,
It's free.
high player base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yet another highly played free-to-play game coming to the Switch. I think it's really smart. Now, somebody just has to finally up the G's to 5G and get a receiver in here so you can get a mobile plan, and then maybe there's
That'd be
a
kinda
cool on-the-go device for playing these competitive games.
Yeah. We also have Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition out on February 20th for $20.
Widely considered the best Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
didn't
Super
know
cool
that.
game.
I haven't played them in such a long time except for 5, but I loved 5.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's worth going back to check out. And we talked about the next games last week a little bit because there's new games coming out for the Nintendo Switch Online subscription. There's Poppin' Twinbee, which is a Super Nintendo game, as well as Smash Tennis, and then Shadow of the Ninja and Eliminator Boat Duel, which are both NES games. We talked a bit about Poppin' Twinbee last episode with Pear.
Sam said all those games are bad. Is that true?
Nope.
Okay.
No, he's not. No, that's not true. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, Poppin' Twinbee is actually good.
Okay.
Crazy.
Another sort of bizarre random drop of assorted old things you didn't know existed.
I had no idea that any of
It
these
is really
existed.
weird. But Poppin' Twinbee came out in Europe, so it's known in Europe. It's just we never got it in the US.
How do you say
Yeah,
Pop and Twinbee in German?
Twinbee.
And last week we
That's what it says when you hit start.
Nice.
last week we accidentally left off a game. It's called Snack World: The Dungeon Crawler Gold.
Oh yeah.
I haven't played this. I'm sorry we forgot about it last week.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone.
This is a level 5 game, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is a level 5 game, and it's an RPG. It's a dungeon crawler.
Publishing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no
came
codes went out, nothing. I thought it was
I
going
didn't
to be
even get an
delayed.
email.
Like I didn't hear anything
Yeah.
about it, and then boop, it's out. So we'll have to take a look.
It came out on the 14th. Hopefully we'll get a chance to play it.
I love level
At some
5
point.
and I like dungeon crawlers.
Yeah, and it's a co-op game too. So I don't know why. Like I just didn't
I'm gonna give it a try this week.
completely bypass
Cool.
my radar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll have more insight on it next week then if we can get a chance to play it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're not playing Snack World, but what are you guys playing this week?
Bloodroots?
Yeah, baby.
Start there?
Can you
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, we can talk about a little bit of it. Zach and I are both playing it. Both
Yep.
really like it. We've talked about it on the show in the past, I believe. We did some preview stuff
we
for
played
it.
it in GDC last year.
It was, yeah. We first demoed it at GDC last year during the Nindies showcase. Blood Roots is a game by a tiny Canadian studio called Paper Cult, and it is a isometric. How did you describe it? Canadian Hotline Miami, right? Like it's a lot like Hotline Miami but except if Hotline Miami was set in The Revenant, like you play this like wronged woodsman and you're on a quest for revenge, and you have, it's an action game, but it's also sort of a puzzle game in the way that you can pick up anything and use it as a weapon, but everything has different levels of durability. So like one thing might have 1 hit before you have to discard it. Some stuff has 3 hits. And then each of those weapons also has like a little bonus animation or movement. So like you can get a chain and the chain will whip around you in a circle, or you can get a sword and the sword will like fling you at your enemies across the screen. Yeah. And so you're kind of figuring out like much like Hotline Miami, like you'll die and immediately respawn. So in each of the areas, you kind of have to figure out the best way to mow down a bunch of enemies and get to the end goal. Your goal in every area is to clear out all of the enemies there. And it is awesome. Like it taps into that lizard brain part of your brain of like Hotline Miami where you're like, okay, I'm just going to do one more. I think I've got it. I'm just going to do one more. I think I've got it. And then all of a sudden it's 12:30 in the morning and you've been playing, 3 hours.
What I really love about this game is the way it scales. You could go in and basically kind of like pensively, quietly just creep up on things and kill them and then back away, or you can string together chains, and the game rewards you either way, right? Like you still get level bonuses and cutscenes and all that. You get a score at the end of each level. There's leaderboards that are optional. So you could chain everything, and by doing so, you can do stuff like jumping in a wheelbarrow that runs through a door, that lights 3 guys on fire, that lands you in front of a chain that you whip into this thing, and you grab a ladder and climb up it, land some here, chop a guy's head off and go over here. And the last kill you do in every level is always this glory kill.
Yeah, it's like bespoke animation depending on what item you're using.
It's so fun. It's like very Kill Bill. You're on this revenge mission. They're very inspired by Tarantino stuff. Or you could go slow and steady. And so I find a mix of both. There were some levels I was like kind of bashing my head up against that I would kind of take my time through, and others where I was just like zipping through.
It's tough. Yeah. It's a challenging game, and I think it's funny because like in each area, you might only spend 10 minutes working your way through it, but you'll do 25 runs. And the difference between like the first time you try it and the last time you try it is like night and day, because, you'll make it so far and then get killed. But the last time you're just like burning through this level, doing all this crazy stuff, and then you're on to the next thing. I love it. I just finished the first chapter, which is all that we're allowed to talk about right now. This is the first game for me this year on Switch that's like first new game. Kentucky Route Zero. Right. That's really like sunk its hooks into me.
Yeah, no, I really dig it. I kind of wish the button mapping takes a minute to get used to. Yeah. Because you're constantly bouncing between jump, attack, and grab, and it's basically you're in this sort of triangle on the 3 switch face buttons, and I kind of wish you could maybe switch them to shoulders.
Because the button that you grab weapons with is not the button that you use to attack. So it would make sense that you would grab and attack, but when you grab stuff, if you hit the button again, you throw it. Yeah. You drop it. So like I've run into a lot of deaths where like I'll pick something up and then hit it again and drop the weapon and then get killed. Yeah.
And I think it's just a matter of like just training my brain into getting that sort of rhythm down.
And honestly, to be like perfectly honest, I didn't look at the options menu to see if there's a way to change those, but yeah, it looks like that middle camera just died. Anyway, this game's out February 28th. As of right now, at the end of chapter 1, I give it
thumbs up.
2 thumbs.
And I think it's called Blood Roots because when you die, you leave behind flowers, right?
Yes.
Gross.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm playing. I'm playing two DLC packs. Both of them for strategy games. The first one is Wargroove Double Trouble. So this was the much promised DLC pack free. DLC download for Wargroove, already a really good game. We talked about it a little bit last week. Tom reviewed it, and basically the developer, after his review, addressed every one of his concerns, like unskippable animations. Now you just hold a button, it goes whoop, and it skips them. It's a really well-tweaked package, and on top of that, they now released a new campaign.
Oh,
so
cool.
when you go into
it's
your
free.
story, free campaign, you have your regular campaign, and they've made all these tweaks. There's new stuff for the map editor, but they added new characters and new missions. So now next to your campaign mode, you have a co-op campaign mode. You can play it single player, you can play it with 2 people on one Switch, or you can play it online co-op. And the way it works, like if you're playing it single player, you just it switches between 2 different teams, and you just hold the button on the Switch to activate them. So you could be playing with 2 controllers or 1, whatever you want to do. And so you kind of have to divide your attention. You have one team over here doing something, the other team, then you switch off and doing stuff up there, and you kind of have to work together, even when you're playing single player. And it's really good. It has new characters, really funny new scripted sequences. And, I finished one mission is basically a heist mission where on the left side of the map, you fight with the enemy. On the right side of the map, the other team has to solve puzzles. Like
Cool.
Switch puzzles
That's
and
really
stuff
neat.
and steal the treasure. And then they both have to like split and get out. And basically one team was the distraction. So it's just really charming.
that's co-op?
Clever. Yeah. You
That's
can do that in
super
co-op.
cool.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to hand it off, right?
Right.
So you're not playing at the same time. One team finishes their moves and the other one takes
And who's better at the co-op play, Midna or Colin?
It's both me. It's my left hand and my right hand. No, it's both my right hand. They don't play games. They're dogs.
Yeah.
It's.
I don't think they're dogs. I think they're
If you love Advance Wars or Fire Emblem and you haven't played Wargroove yet, it's a really charming kind of pixel art throwback game to the days of Advance Wars.
Speaking of
Really
Fire
good.
Emblem.
And then the other thing is Fire Emblem. You want to start? Since
There we
I've
go.
been
Yeah,
blabbing?
I was trying to find the names of all of the new characters. Oh,
There's too many of them.
okay.
Well,
The new
But-
Fire Emblem characters? Dave,
yeah,
Steve,
Kevin.
I only remember. Here we go.
Lisa.
I got it. I only remembered Yuri and Happy, and I couldn't remember Constance and Balthus.
No, that's
very important to know. It's totally not really that important.
so it's a
But we've been playing the Cinder Shadows DLC.
paid update. Yeah.
Paid update. It's part of the $25 DLC pack. And Brendan Graber told me it took him about 6 hours to complete.
Oh, cool.
But and Pear and I have been playing on hard.
I think it'll take me longer
A
than 6
lot
hours.
longer than 6 hours. It's actually pretty punishing, especially because they give you characters that you can't tweak your party like you can in the regular game. So for example, they only give you one main healer, and that's Linhardt. So if Linhardt dies permanently,
You're
you're
SOL.
kind of screwed for the
Yeah.
rest of the campaign.
And if
so-
any of the main characters die, you have
You
to do a
lose as
rewind.
well.
And there are many now. So basically, it's set up as a side story. So in addition, the DLC added stuff for the campaign in the past, all of that. You've seen that. This one adds a new option on the main menu where you can play a side story. It has a separate set of saves. It's not going to eat into your original saves. So they upped the number. And then you basically start a new quest where our heroes find a secret fourth house.
underneath
basement.
Garrick Mach.
Underground, yeah.
And it's just an underground society, and you kind of learn.
outcasts.
Yeah, the outcasts. Each of them have kind of a reason why they're down there.
But they're still students?
Well,
They're
no,
fake
they
students.
ask to call you professor, but it's like they're not part of the
Yeah.
school system.
Weird.
Yeah, but we assume that Rhea and the rest of the church knows they exist and just kind of begrudgingly accepts that they're there because they understand that they kind of need an underbelly of the city to make it work the way it's supposed to.
Sure.
Yeah. But it's I thought the setup was really cool. Interesting new characters, fully voiced. So this is not some cheap little DLC pack. I played a mission on the plane yesterday where I think I almost approached the 2-hour mark on it
Yeah.
and then died at the
The
end. So I play
battles-
hard with permadeath. I did the campaign like that too. This is definitely a little step up over that. Like
Wow.
hard in
Yeah,
the main
no, I
campaign
agree with that.
was easier than past hard modes in Fire Emblem games. But this one, they definitely they ramped it up a little bit. It is brutal. It's stressful. There's the one I died in is a mission where you have to escape from a dungeon and there are all these big golems coming after you. Some of whom you just can't fight. They're too powerful. So you're constantly running.
Wow.
And you're like, like you're always looking behind you if the the attack markers are the tiles are filled out. So it's tense. It's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm liking it. No
Brendan-
tea parties though.
No tea parties.
Boo.
But you do unlock tea parties with those characters if you have to get to a certain point in the DLC and then they will show up during phase 1 of the main Fire Emblem Three Houses story.
Did you hear that, Brian?
Yeah,
You can unlock.
if you're
You guys
in-
are,
can unlock
you guys are
the tea
completely
parties.
asleep.
But if you are already in phase 2, they won't show up. So hopefully you're still in phase 1 of your New Game Plus. Brendan Graeber is documenting everything you need to know about the DLC, all these characters, the Tea Party, strategy for each of the different battles. And it's on our wiki on IGN.com.
You're enjoying it, right?
He
seemed like he was like, yeah, it's good. I'm actually digging it. I'm like, I didn't want to replay all the, the food and tea and all those events and like the lost items. Like I kind of like, I got that out of my system in the main campaign. So I was happy this one focused on battle and story.
At first, I was slightly disappointed that the exploration phase is so short. But then when I saw how long and intricate the battles are compared to some of the other, like the main Fire Emblem battles, I feel the same. And then we will get all of that stuff in my New Game Plus, so I'm fine.
Yep.
It's time for me to go back to Garrick Mach. It's been a while since I played Fire Emblem.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Love that game.
And it's nice that you can just jump into it from a side quest menu. You don't have to like go through and unlock it.
That's cool.
And so this is why I brought up their names, because I noticed something that threw me off a little bit. So Yuri, the leader of the Ashen Wolves, his animations are the same as Lauren's.
He's a thief.
And then I noticed Balthus is the same as Raphael's. And then I noticed that Happy is the same as Marianne's.
Yeah.
I don't know who Constance is. Those are all the golden deer, so of course I would recognize them. But just something I noticed, and I'm like, oh, that's...
So they reuse the animations for these characters. The characters look very different.
Oh, super
and
different.
have different voices and stuff.
different personalities.
That's interesting, yeah.
Hashtag intelligent systems lad.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
That's too funny.
I also started playing Luigi's Mansion 3 for Valentine's Day because it's a good co-op game. I know, I finally...
Isn't that great?
And
What's about damn time, Casey?
I know.
You host a Nintendo show.
I know. I've had it, and I'm like, I'm gonna play it, and then, guys, you can't invert your controls.
Oh yeah. You know what though?
I
It's like,
forgot that that's fine.
yeah.
You can do it.
I know.
Do it.
I'm suffering through it.
Oh.
No.
You can use the accelerometer too if that's
You
easier
can.
for
You can.
Yeah.
And did you do the alternate control scheme? There's the default scheme. It's kind of difficult to walk and aim, and the other one locks it in place. It's
I haven't.
That one's-
I think I do the
That
lock and place
changed
one.
the game for Brian.
Right.
No,
but-
totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'll
I was
explain.
I was kind of like frustrated with it actually
Okay.
until I did that, and then I was like, okay, I can totally tolerate this.
I am still having a lot of fun with it. I'm not super far into it. I
Fantastic
think I'm
game.
like, I just finished the 5th floor or something, so still super early on. But it's a really fun co-op game.
Great game.
They do a really great job of balancing Gooigi and Luigi, and I showed my fiance Janet's Gooigi video, and it was a great time.
Yeah.
I also, just really quick, I played Degrees of Separation. This actually came out last year on Valentine's Day. My backlog is very long. I was really impressed
Do you
by
only
it.
play video games on Valentine's Day?
Only
That's right.
Valentine's Day. No, that's just when I look for like, oh, what co-op game haven't we played that we should? And Degrees of Separation is just a really cute indie game with really nice narration and music, and it takes 2 characters, one basically of the fire element and one of the ice element, and where they are standing on the screen affects the environment. So you have to solve puzzles based on where you are standing to affect the environment. It was really interesting and cool.
Pretty cool.
And now on to question block.
Yeah.
Game of the year.
I have a special piece of mail, a physical piece of mail.
What?
I know.
Who does that?
This is from James from Squin.
From where?
If you're
So
listening
it's
to
actually
this,
it says Sequim, Washington, but he says it's pronounced Squim, rhymes with whim. So I'm just trusting
All right.
him. 'Cause
Okay.
I've never been to this place in Washington.
Okay.
all right.
But
If you're listening to this, Casey is getting out.
I'm getting out a thing.
What is it?
I'm getting a thing. He says it's a plastic canvas project.
Whoa,
and he calls
that's
them-
crazy.
They're old lady crafts.
That's
So
super cool.
For those of you listening, it's basically a single point and stitch where each pixel is one hand
Wow,
stitched.
that's awesome.
Right.
And one side, it says get the thing. It has a question block. It says NVC, and it has a bunch of Nintendo characters. And the other
It's
side
got Brian on it.
is
Yeah, there he is.
full of Nintendo consoles.
pointed at
It
Kirby.
is so
Oh, that's
cool.
Kirby. Sorry.
I'm more of a Tom Nook.
But no, I really like it. It's super cute.
awesome.
Thank you so much for sending this to us. I really
that's
appreciate
so
it. I'm
cool.
trying to
Thank
like
you.
hold
The
this
pixel
up.
art consoles and handhelds on the back are
Yeah, it's
super
really
cool.
neat.
Yeah,
wow.
it's
Yeah,
awesome.
excellent work.
And James, he also sent in a question block question that I figured I'd read. He also made one of these for GameScoop, and he's making one for Beyond next.
Rad.
So I want to go see the GameScoop one. I don't know if Pear wants to hold on to this.
I'm gonna put it behind you.
There you go.
Computer
So-
like this.
This is from James. The first console I ever owned myself, meaning it wasn't a family console, was the Nintendo 64. I have fond memories of the system, and most of them, ironically, are from third-party games. I love Mario and Zelda, but nothing quite beat a gauge match in WWF No Mercy 64 with 3 of my buddies, or the tragically underrated World Driver Championship, which I enjoyed more than Gran Turismo at the time. So that brings me to my question. What are some of your favorite console-exclusive third-party game memories in your Nintendo past? Ever since the Nintendo 64, Nintendo has been known for not having great third-party support, and while we never have the quantity of other systems, we have some real highlights in the lineup. I love to hear the NVC Cruise highlights.
Okay.
So we debated this a little bit earlier because exclusive is a weird word, and things are usually not exclusive forever. There's stuff like Resident Evil 4, which was exclusive for a while.
Yeah.
There's that famous quote about, I'll cut my head off if it ever goes anywhere else, and it went everywhere else. And so I don't think that one's allowed. But right off the bat, one of the ones I was thinking was Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which is coming to Switch eventually.
This year.
Yeah, this year, hypothetically. But I don't know if that's gonna actually happen.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. So that's up there for me. Another one, does something like Super Mario RPG count?
Because that's published by Nintendo.
Yeah.
That's second party, basically.
Kind of, right? Because it's developed by a third party.
That's right. Second party. There were a whole bunch of exclusives, as you said, like the Capcom 5, most of which went non-exclusive afterwards. And like even games like World of Goo, right, like launched exclusively and then went somewhere else. But like if you go farther back, definitely the N64 age had a lot of companies trying stuff for the 4-player, for the 4 controllers that you could hook up. And so games like Battle Tanks, if you remember that, so many fond memories of playing 4-player in that.
GoldenEye.
Turok 2, the
Space Station Silicon Valley
with the cerebral bore, like the crazy weapons you had in that one. The San Francisco Rush games were exclusive to Nintendo in that form, with the awesome stunt mode and like the flips and the wings and all that kind of stuff in it. WCW Nitro, remember the early wrestling games of that era?
There are a lot.
Those
I
were
weirdly
really
played
cool.
a lot of Nintendo 64 wrestling games because the character creators were really fun.
Oh, yeah,
just
those
like
were
make
blast.
you can just like make your buddies and have them wrestle. Yeah, it was great.
So that age, I mean, there were really a lot of companies that were making very competent games, and like notably the multiplayer modes were excellent in those titles. So those were a couple. Then later GameCube, obviously we got Twin Snakes, was really cool. Just seeing that story.
Zach's shaking his head.
You don't like that one? No. Just seeing that, like the story sequences redone. If you go back to Metal Gear now, you'd be surprised how janky the graphics look.
No, I know.
And seeing that game redone was just really cool at the time.
Yeah, I think the thing with Twin Snakes was like it expanded on Metal Gear Solid in the way that the prequels expanded on, or the re-releases expanded on the Star Wars trilogy, where it put a bunch of stuff in that was like, why?
You mean the first-person stuff? Or?
Well, like
that
the
broke a lot of
cinematics,
boss fights.
yeah, that, but then also the cinematics were like way John Woo, like over the top compared to the ones on PlayStation. Like, yeah.
I think my favorite thing about that game was you're exploring like an office area at one point, and there's like a Mario and Yoshi.
Yeah,
doll
there's
on
like
the
hidden
desk.
stuff.
And I remember
that
just like blowing my mind as like somebody that grew up loving PlayStation and Nintendo. I was like, what?
Was that was Dennis D.I.C.E Team Silicon Knights?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
that was them.
They did Eternal Darkness as well, which was another exclusive
That was
party.
for Nintendo, though. Yeah,
Billy Hatcher, that NVC favorite, that's a third party.
That's right, from
exclusive.
Sega. But more recently, there are not that many games that are exclusive and remain exclusive. But obviously, Mario plus Rabbids has Mario in it, but it's a Ubisoft game. That was such a pleasant surprise to me, and all the fond memories of the reveal and the Ubisoft conference at E3.
That was pretty wild
with David
Miyamoto,
and Miyamoto
Miyamoto coming
all
out on
that.
stage.
That was really cool. But like the most notable exclusives now are like the definitive edition of Dragon Quest XI. Obviously.
Yeah, and that's a pretty
Picross game.
That's a pretty wild example because Dragon Quest came to PlayStation and Xbox before, or maybe just PlayStation. I don't remember. But the Switch version is considered like the definitive version.
Oh, it
of
is
that
the best
game,
one with orchestral music, right?
Yeah.
Stuff
with
that
the
you don't
ability
have
to
in the
swap
other ones.
between 2D and 3D. Like, yeah.
Yep, that's a good one.
I'm going to do a more of a throwback, but one of my favorite third-party games is Lost Kingdoms by From Software for the GameCube.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That was an exclusive, and it's really, I mean, I'm going to explain it, and you're going to be like, oh, that's a Casey game. So it is a monster capturing card building game where you can combine your cards and evolve them into new things and make decks for the levels as you're going. But you play as a princess that goes off to save her king and her kingdom.
Are there dragons?
Of course there are dragons.
There it is.
Guys.
There's the trifecta.
Yeah. But it's a From Software game, and it also had a like multiplayer battle mode. So I just remember being at my friend's place and fighting, not physically fighting, but playing that game with her, and also playing through single player with her as well. And I just loved that kind of mechanic. And Folklore is a game that came out for the PS3 later that kind of had a similar sort of mechanics where you have a deck, and as you draw, the monster powers become mapped onto your buttons. So it's just always changing gameplay based on what you put in your deck, and I really enjoyed that, and I thought it was really cool. From Software, please make another one.
What about you, Brian? Snowball Kids?
Snowboard Kids. No, he said his pick was Crystal Chronicles.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I already forgot.
I'm gonna go two more.
Sure.
This one is from Scott Dolson. He says, you must pick either Mario or Zelda, and the one you pick will not receive a mainline game for the next 10 years. Which do you choose?
Oh, how dare you?
Which one doesn't get a mainline game for the next 10 years?
You just said Mario, so I'm going to have to say I want my Zelda game, and then we'll revisit Mario in 10 years.
I agree.
They can always re-release all the games that we've been waiting on. Like, give me Sunshine.
I mean, we have Mario Maker 2. You can just make your own.
It's not Sunshine. We booted up Sunshine in the office, and like that's a game that a lot of people express disdain for. It's really good.
Yeah.
I heard like one of my friends said, "Oh, it runs like crap. It's terrible." It's like, no, it really doesn't. They're like two levels that have real issues.
Those levels,
a lot of cool things in there.
The levels where you don't have the water pack,
So good.
Those levels are like top tier Mario levels.
My issues with that game don't come until the last third and the end game of it.
Yeah.
I think the quality kind of collapses.
There's some rough levels.
It's a famously rushed game for sure. I also choose Mario. I love Zelda. Zelda is like my number one franchise with a bullet by a country mile. So yeah, I love Mario as well.
Sorry,
but like
Mario.
If I don't, if there's not a mainline Mario game, I think Pear's right. I think we could skate by on some good
I
remasters.
think more Mario to
re-releases.
re-release. There's so many. You can clean up Super Mario 64.
There's Mario Maker.
Yeah,
right?
that's
and
what I
so,
said.
Hypothetically, that could hold us over for a decade.
Yeah, Galaxy.
If I was just like really, really dying for new Mario levels, there's millions of them out there being made by fans.
Yep.
Zelda's just like that's the special magic.
There's also a lot of Mario games that I've only played once or just completely missed. Like there's a bunch of the new Super Mario games that I skipped because it was just like,
Yeah,
but I can go
feel
back and revisit those.
That's right.
Okay, last question, really quick, from Neil Tracky. He says, if Pear could have any Joy-Con color / theme of his dreams, what would it be?
That's a really good one.
Wow. I think it would be
What would get you to buy another set of Joy-Con?
No, the end-all be-all
Ocarina
set
of
Joy-Cons.
Time Gold.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Give me the gold edition.
Do you have any unlicensed?
Give me a green mainline Switch and golden controllers on the side.
Do you have? You don't have any custom Joy-Con like?
I have like the atomic purple see-through ones, but I don't count those.
We all were doing like shell swaps for a minute here at IGN.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
I still think the best one is the Super Nintendo one.
Yeah.
Like I love the
custom one.
The custom Super Nintendo one. That one's so
That would
cool.
be great too. Like, look, I'm hoping they don't do many more of these deals where you need the console to get the Joy-Con. That's dirty. But that definitely anything Zelda related. That's my Dragon Quest one.
It's very good.
Yeah, it is nice.
Well, hey guys, thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode of NVC. Remember, everyone listening or watching at home, look in the description for links to the Eventbrite for NVC 500 Live at IGN's office in San Francisco, and also for the IGN store for NVC shirts. Remember, get that discount code and remember to put it in. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can always catch us every Thursday at 3 p.m. on YouTube or Spotify or your favorite podcasting platform. And remember, this is the only place you can
get the thing.
See you March 20th.
Bye.